Welcome to the Craig and Greg Show, presented by Maximize Leadership. Now, here are Craig Owens and Greg Harris.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Craig and Greg Show. I'm Craig, sitting alongside Greg. As you can see, we are all ready to celebrate probably my favorite time of year.
Yes.
I love doing that. But, there's some challenges. If you lead an organization, you lead some people that are already busy at work, and then when this part of the season comes along, their personal lives become rather busy as well. And, Greg, I think that as leaders, one of the things that we need to help people do is to have some good boundaries so that they're not getting burned out. They can truly enjoy the season and as a result, I think, be much more productive on the work site as well. So let's talk about how leaders can help doing that. I think that I would see first step, you actually have to address the topic. You can't just assume everybody's going to figure it out. Right. But I think leaders need to tell people right up front, here's what I'm expecting during this busy holiday season.
See, I think playing it out there, that's so helpful. Like there's a target or there's an expectation or there's maybe a little bit loosening of the rope so it's not so tight because they're just getting asked left and right. I remember there was one holiday season where I think family had maybe 8 parties. Well, there's only 18 business days in December, right? And you're like, that's a lot of parties, and it's different relatives and different branches on the tree. And after a while, you're like, couldn't they all just get together and be more efficient? And I think that's what we have to tell our teammates and we're looking for efficiency because we know that you have other priorities that pull. And that's pretty common. That tension's natural. We don't expect you to be a robot. Give them freedom.
Right. Well, and I mean, you're going to be much more, have a much more productive workforce if things are happy at home. If they're stressed out, they're looking at their work schedule and they're looking at all the things. Look at the calendar for work, how full it is. And they're thinking about, well, after work, I got to run by the store to pick up a Christmas gift. I got to get some food because we're baking and we're preparing. Well, then is their mind really on work when they're thinking about all of those kind of things? So I think that we do need to say, hey, listen, we realize how busy it is. We're going to do our part to help you. We're going to try to scale some things back here, but you're going to have to do your part as well and, keep your focus on here while you're here. So I think that it is a two-way street, but it does start with the leader setting out what the expectations are.
I think acknowledging things, whether that's personal life, professional life, is so freeing versus the person like apparently he doesn't have holiday stress and I do. Right. There was one cool thing that I decided to do with my team is I could tell someone was a little behind. You could just frazzled, flying to and fro, coming into the office, still putting their hair together or whatever it was. And I said to the other teammates, why don't we let her go an hour early? And then next week you can have an hour early. And we just moved it. And it was just the shot in the arm for them.
Sure.
It's a subtle suggestion. Yeah. It's not a huge issue. Not like I said, hey, take the month off. But we actually saw that, right? We witnessed some holiday stress, and clearly you're right. Particularly if they're on their screen going through Amazon or trying to figure out what Hallmark store is near this party to get a card, and it just gives them a chance to say, you know what, you guys care. And it's a small little gesture. You've done it your entire career with people. You just notice people.
Right. Yeah, and I think intentionally scaling back on some things, like, do we really, this is our regular meeting that we have to discuss this. Do we really need to? Is it going to kill us if we skip one?
That's a good one.
And let people have that extra hour that instead of having the meeting, get some stuff done, and then maybe say, we can go home a little bit earlier today, or we can take a little bit longer of a time at lunch to handle some things.
I think the leader can share honestly. I still struggle with how busy the holidays can be. Almost maybe a transparent move, maybe just a sharing where they're like, okay, so I'm not the only one that's, worried about, getting to Grandma Matilda's, for the party. Right. I think if they just know we also get it, we're human, they probably have something like, well, he's the boss, so he probably has got other people doing it. He's got it all handled, Right. And that's not true. And I think there's some freedom for other people. Like, oh, so yours is a little chaotic too? Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, we want to balance it. We're not saying that we're enabling people to be irresponsible as far as like, boy, you were out late at a party last night, and so that's okay. We'll let you come in late to work today. It's not doing that, but it is understanding, saying, listen, I have some empathy. Yeah. I get it. But there is a two-way street here. I'm going to do some things to help like loosen up some of the flow here at work or some of the demands, but you also are going to have to be aware of some things as well.
During the holidays, different companies will do different things, gifts or, cashews or popcorn or a card or some candy, whatever it is. And as time went on in my career, I would say, hey, Mary, why don't you take those to the 2 clients, drop them off. You don't have a meeting. There's no formal proposal or agenda. Just drop them off on your way home. Well, that gave them a reason to go to the gas station, a reason for them to pick up their kid early and go get their hair done before the party. So you just have to kind of look for ways to kind of be a little flexible. Yep. You're, like you said, you're not asking them to take the whole holiday off, right. But, although they probably would. But I think some people just would be like, okay, I can get it all done, but is that really productive? I mean, I think people do enjoy productivity.
Yeah.
Priorities, I think is a challenge for us is I have a job.
Right.
I have teammates. I have customers. I have year end, et cetera, and I think those pressures apply. But I think, setting those priorities is important for us. Like, what is it as the leader? Are we looking for our staff to be just exhausted by the 24th of December?
Right.
No.
Right.
So I think even we as leaders have to decide, is that really important? And how do you handle that?
Well, I think that, we said leaders have to talk about it, but they have to live it too. I mean, we can't have the do what I say, but not what I do. That's a lack of integrity there. But yeah, for me personally, I will go through, like, say that I have the regular, I give you an example, like at our church, I have a once a month board meeting.
Yep.
I cancel that in December. Okay, is it going to kill us not to meet this month? Any of the reports that we need, I can just prepare them and I'll email them to you.
Right.
So I purposely go through, and I'll start this back in probably September, October. I will look at like the week leading up to Thanksgiving all the way through to New Year. Okay, what are some regular things that it's really not going to,
Crucial,
they're not mission critical. What can we like, and when you just take a couple of those things off of there, it becomes a cumulative effect that people do that. But then I also do the same thing in my personal life. I might look at, like, I'm pretty rigorous on my own imposed schedule for blogging, putting things on my blog. I will, in December, I will scale that back. I will, there'll be a lot of days that I'm not scheduling anything. I'm not posting anything. So that way I don't have that time to think and write. I can take that off, and then I can be present in those moments.
It's good.
With other people. So you have to talk about it, and you have to model it.
And I think people watch the modeling more than the talking. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what they say. What is it? More is caught than is taught.
Yeah.
People see what you're doing more than they hear the words that you're saying about it.
St. Francis of Assisi has the quote, "I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day." And I think as leaders, that's a great call to action is, do we model it, and do we make it look like you can actually successfully balance, the holiday time and kids are out of school and, there's parties with relatives that you maybe don't see all the time, and they're important. I mean, this is important, but I think we did some things that were kind of cool with flex time.
Yeah.
So you could come in really early and leave at 3 because you needed to pick up little Susie and then get her to her party. I mean, there's a lot of pull. A lot of people being drawn in different directions, and you make a gadget, you can do that at any time. So let someone else kind of flex it a little bit. And that seemed to give people a little reprieve. I just like the comment that you started with as you talk about it. You put it out there, versus that unsaid, am I the only one?
Right.
Do I feel the holiday stress and no one else does? So I think that's important for us to give them oxygen to share, not too bad. Yep. Okay, cool. There are some, like we had some situations at work where the person was traveling, needed to go to Detroit or needed to go to New York or needed to go to Chicago or Nashville. And so they had the little push to get stuff done before they left.
Sure.
And I was very impressed with their productivity and priorities. They figured it out.
Yep.
Those that didn't have to, but had a lot of local parties, were the really ones that got taxed.
Sure.
And tired. Yeah.
I had a friend of mine that he, for years, he's retired now, but for years, during the month of December, they had, he would have like a rotating thing, but some people would just work Monday through Thursday, and some people would work Tuesday through Friday. So he had a slightly smaller crew on Monday and Friday, but had it covered.
Yeah.
But he did that so that people could build that into their week and they'd know. But I like you. I'm going to share this quote that you because I like this one from Stephen Covey.
It's an awesome one.
He says the key is not
stealing it, aren't you?
Well, you can share it if you want to.
No, I don't want to.
The key is to not prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. And I think sometimes as leaders, we might have to, even though we're talking about it and we're modeling it, we might have to sit down with an employee and ask them, hey, what is your priority?
That's good.
Because I see you getting stressed out. I see this happening. So what is your priority? Let's make sure that we put the priority on the schedule first, and then we can work around that, not like trying to figure out, okay, this is a priority. Now, where can I find this spot on my calendar to plug it in there? Mm-hmm. So I think that is a part of leadership, is that sometimes we're kind of whole group.
Yeah.
Here's what we're doing this year. I'm going to model it. And then sometimes it's saying, hey, can you and I chat for a second?
Yeah.
Because I see some stress here. What is your priority? I'd like to know so that, I can try to help you make sure that that's there.
I think from the leadership, whether it's the holiday time, I love the manger versus the mall.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just more, that's my Christmas holiday.
Sure.
But we do it to buy stuff, and you have to bring food and all that. I think it's important for us to share. Everyone celebrates it different too.
Right. Yep.
They and some have different capacity,
sure.
For stress and busy. One of the things that we did by department was we would, as leaders, owners, we would ask other managers, supervisors, just go around and check each week as you kind of build up. So, the 15th of November to the 25th of December is a pretty hectic 40 days.
Yep.
And so we kind of embarked others because they might not all come to you or me if we're in the corner office by chance.
Right.
And the managers and supervisors were much more successful because they're with them.
Yeah.
And then we gave them tools.
Yep.
All right, so if you got to help out Mary for another hour or two, all right, you come in mid-morning on Friday. So we kind of, but we really embarked the rest of us. So it wasn't just one leader, because there's relationships that vary. I mean, you had some great examples where people would talk to you about anything, and that's a wonderful gift. But if you had a big organization, you wouldn't be able to know them all.
Absolutely.
And so depending on the size of the org, we would just embark others to say, keep checking with them.
Right.
Just that was oxygen to them.
Yep.
Just oxygen. It's like, so you guys are watching? Yeah, not over your shoulder, just seeing if you're okay.
Right.
And if you're a little quick, or your work's getting maybe a little sloppy, or it's behind and you're just trying to, spin all the plates. If we just embarked others, it seemed to make our organization more lateral, and flat, and people could go to anybody.
Well, and we talked a while ago, we had an episode about remembering details about people's lives and, the importance of that. I think, the holiday season for a lot of people can bring up some emotion too, because, maybe it's the first holiday that grandma's not with them.
Excellent.
We've always gone to grandma's house and she passed away this year. And so we don't have that this year. And so, we're just trying to figure out what's going to be the new tradition for our family. Well, when you are aware of that, then when the next Christmas comes around, say, hey, I bet you're probably thinking about your grandma again this year. I was just curious, what family tradition did you come up with?
Excellent.
Just remember those things. Yeah. It's not that hard to keep track of those things, and be aware that, every Christmas Eve, she's remembering, that was the day that this thing happened in their family. I'm just going to give her the day off, because it's going to be a tough day for her.
Right.
It's your organization will run so much better when people are aware, because I promise you, and I think a lot of people think this, like, well, if I do that for Sally, then I have to do it for everybody. No, people aren't going to think that. They're going to realize he's doing that for Sally because that day brings up so much emotion.
Yep.
She does need to be home with her family and not here at work.
Right.
And you know what? If he's doing that for Sally here, I bet you he'd do that for me at some other point if I needed it. People know that.
I think your offer, that example, is outstanding. So do you need to take that day off, or is it better to come in here
Right.
and you give them the chance to say, so no guilt aside, I'm not asking you to use your PTO.
Right.
I'm just saying this is a freebie if it's too much. But if you need to come in to see us, to be
Right.
there, that might be what you need, because the day sometimes goes really slow when you're home and it's that date and you're like, I may not be productive at work, but I should probably be there because it's a little more positive than sitting at home
Yes.
wondering. So you give the person a chance.
Absolutely. Yep.
But that's really empathy.
Yep.
And I just challenge us all as leaders to make sure you know people, you have some depth in your relationship, not just what's the function that you do here at work.
Yep.
And I think people really rally to, so you remembered. Now, that's one thing you're good at, and I wish to be good at, is I like to write things down. That's when her husband passed away just between Thanksgiving and Christmas. I might just check with her, And, you lost your mom a number of years ago around leading up to the
day
holidays.
after Christmas.
Right, the holidays. And it just sort of, that kind of dampers it a bit. It doesn't mean that Jesus didn't do something, those years ago and, came to save us. But it's like, all right, Mom, I miss you. The traditions are not there. The pie is not there, or whatever. Your mom was actually an amazing cook and baker. I think I still might have a couple of pounds.
I know I do.
What you call me, gumdrops. Certainly some cavities too. Like, that was really good sugar, But I think it's important just to give them the chance. I had one lady that lost her husband that was one of my teammates, and I said, I get it. Between the holidays, it's not the best. You tell us kind of what you're capable of handling, and we'll just kind of circumvent it. And she goes, I really need to be here. I said, okay, so we're not expecting 102%, which is not feasible. Even if you gave 64, if it helps you here and here to come in and see the people that you're with 8 hours a day, it was helpful for her. And then as time went on, her 5th year anniversary of her husband passing, she said, I'm going to take this one off. But she knew she could.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You gave people license to share it.
Yep.
And I just think we're about people. I mean, I know you make stuff and service stuff,
but what do you do? How do you do it without the people?
It's people,
right?
And that's leadership. I think there's influence of what? The machine?
Yeah.
No, people.
Right.
I'm impacting the truck. No, people. And I think that's just our call to duty, in my opinion.
Yep.
That's not a game, and I don't play that game. But I think for people in the holidays, the leaders in particular, that's really our wish today in our podcast, is for them to figure out what's priority, balance productivity, because it's all about the people.
Yep.
And you want to keep them, particularly the ones that maybe need to know you care, you love them.
Yeah.
You kind of know their stuff.
Yeah.
And but you have to take, for us as leaders, we got to take our face away from our laptop, or put our phone down and walk around.
Yes.
I mean,
say that again.
Well, we got to take our face away from the laptop and put our doggone phone down, because that's the only way we're going to meet people. We're only going to find them that way.
Yes.
And I was at a restaurant the other day, and just one of my pet peeves, unfortunately. Bear with me. So it's a dad with some of his kids, and he's on his phone.
Yeah.
I just want to throw the thing right out the window.
Remember it used to be with the newspaper?
Yes.
Oh
my gosh.
This is what you see?
Yeah.
Like, why did you go out to a restaurant then?
Just have DoorDash bring it to the house. So I think it's important for us leaders. That's a great lesson, right? The newspaper at the breakfast table, and you're like, where's Billy? He's on his phone or whatever, because dad's not. And I'm not blaming parents. I'm just saying it's important for us as leaders to get away from the laptop, drop the phone, walk around, maybe even do some small little subtle goodness I used to do McDonald's. M&M's used to make the green and red ones for the holidays.
Yep.
And so I would just buy a bunch of bags and then in the morning, thanks for working hard. Hope everything's okay at home. It's 2 sentences.
Yeah.
I really have no idea how to count this, but people are like, thanks for dropping that off. You have no idea.
Yep.
I didn't.
It's M&M's, right?
I didn't.
But it's what's behind it.
And so I said, you need to talk? Not right now. Okay. I mean, it just opens a door. There's some peace about it. Like we're not looking for you to be this machine, a robot. And that's why leadership is so fun. You know, it gets a little messy, you know.
Yep. Well, leaders, listen, this is how you can really maximize what's going on in the holidays. Be proactive with your team. Talk about what the priority is for them. Help them put that on their calendar. Model it in your life. If you got to get one-on-one with people, do that. As Greg said, put down your daggone phone and get your face out of your laptop, your computer, and walk around. See what's going on with people. And believe me, you're going to have such tremendous results and a return on that investment if you are involved in people's lives. We hope that you have a great Christmas as you celebrate with your family and with the organizations that you lead. We're looking forward to another great year upcoming with more content for you. So please share with us comments either below here on this video or on X. You can reach out to us at Maximize Podcast. You can also go to maximizeleadership.com, find out more about the coaching services and other things that we can provide for you to help you maximize your leadership. But we're looking forward to a great year upcoming. Celebrate these holidays and really live in those moments. Don't be so stressed out by it that you miss the whole thing. Enjoy it. You as a leader, set the example, set the pace for that. We'll be in touch with you again real soon.
Get in touch with Craig and Greg through Twitter at Maximize Podcast or at MaximizeLeadership.com. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes of The Craig and Greg Show.